Hi everyone, good evening, and thank you so much for having me here. I really hope I can live up to my previous speaker, who was absolutely sensational, but I'm going to try. Please indulge me today because I'm going to freestyle this a little bit. Usually, I'll always have a presentation running and I have a workshop that I conduct across organizations on specific topics or based on their requests, but this was really a much broader, diverse audience. So please be patient is all I would say. Now, I think before I dive into the theme of today's talk about ideas and how to create them, protect them, monetize them, I just want to take a step back and quickly give a better introduction of what is it really that I do, right? Very often when I'm talking to people, if I'm talking to usually a non-celebrity, they're like, "Acha, par celebrities ko lawyer ki zarurat kyun hoti hai?" And if I'm talking to a celebrity and someone says, "Oh, you know what, you should meet Priyanka and she's a lawyer," they're like, "Oh, very good, but I'm in no legal trouble." So either way, you're damned, right? But what is it that I do? What is entertainment law? I feel we're living in a very interesting day and age where you have media, you have technology, like we just spoke about, and I feel it sort of seamlessly creeps into different areas of our lives. I've been in the entertainment business now for almost 20 years. I started very young. When I was 15, I started as a screenwriter, much before social media, much before YouTube, Facebook even entered India, right? We were still watching daily soaps. I wrote a few of them. I don't know if I'm entirely proud of that chapter of my life, but I did. So I must admit, responsible for getting Prerna married for the 7th time on Kasauti Zindagi Ki. And then early days of all your scripted, unscripted reality shows coming to India, right? When you had the success of Kaun Banega Crorepati, I would be one of the assistant writers, either framing the questions for one of those shows or writing your opening links, welcoming guests, or taking a break. Big Boss, you know, those Friday or Thursday elimination episodes, Filmfare, trying to write those scripts when they were doing spoofs or interacting with the audience. It was a lot of fun, right? Except that my mother thought I was absolutely whiling away my time, wasn't making her proud at all with what I was doing, because no one thought for a 20-something-year-old that writing was a serious career. And I'll be honest, it probably wasn't making me the sort of money that law eventually did, right? But I don't think I would have made the entertainment lawyer that I am today had I not been a part of that. And I feel a lot of this is right place, right time. Because I'd been a part of entertainment, doing things ground up, at some point, Shakun Batra, I don't know how many of you know him, he did Kapoor and Sons and Gehraiya recently, and Shakun and I were chatting some time back where we discovered that he's been a client, but we realized that he and I actually met much before that on a set where he was the first AD. It was his first ever ad where he was first AD, and I was filling in as an extra for Genelia. I was that girl where they want you to be the test model before the actor comes in, so they're all saving time. So you want someone that has the same look and body, and they can test the color on screen, etc. But I feel it's all these tiny, tiny experiences of being on set, being in a studio, going to a broadcaster's office. In those days, we left behind hard copies of whatever you did, right? Whether it was an idea, whether it was a format, it was a script, it was screenplay. There was no email kar dete hain or sending it over WhatsApp. So there's really virtually no record of the fact that you emailed something. If you saw it 6 months on air, on TV, tough luck. There's nothing you could do about it. So it's quite ironic that I ended up becoming an IP lawyer after all of those experiences. But coming back to entertainment, right? With all of that, we also had the advent of technology. FDI in entertainment, foreign direct investment, is 100%. So you saw early days of all your social media services come to India. We more recently have a lot of OTT platforms, streaming services, Netflixes, Snapchat, Instagrams of the world, right? And I feel we were poised to be there, right place, right time. There are many lawyers far more senior than I am, perhaps far more experienced than I was at the time to do intellectual property. But we were native to technology. I think my generation is perhaps that sweet generation that was the first to adopt technology. So you got the combination of how the two things worked. And I'm going to give you a tiny example of IP and how it sort of is present everywhere around us. You see this typical formatting, right? They had your IFB, your Lakshmi, all these logos that we're seeing, all IP, right? This venue, me giving this talk here is performers' rights, right? All the cameras that you see around is creating content, IP. If there's music playing on this venue, the use of the music needs a license, IP. And today, take it to your businesses, right? A lot of times people think that IP is a matter of copyright registrations, trademark registrations. It's not. It's no longer that, right? Every aspect of you, your business, your personality, what you're doing with, what you're creating, whether it's a product, whether it's a service, has so many, many different fragments today, different limbs to it that are all capable of protection. And I think that's where it begins with. Many years ago, when I started as a lawyer, I don't know how many lawyers we have in the room. I know I met one. There's more than one. Okay, good. Fun fact, I actually started as a maritime lawyer. Ballad Estate was one of my first jobs. I used to do shipping and maritime law, far removed from entertainment. Till I had, unfortunately she's no longer with us, but Lata Mangeshkar, who walked into my life, and we ended up doing something so interesting for her that today, 10, 12 years later, in the music business, has resulted in that particular vertical that has made the music business a multi-billion-dollar industry. According to Goldman Sachs, this is the golden era of music. I was chasing royalties at a time when they were pennies, or they were non-existent. But I was like, no, I know, why should someone be this massive, this successful, have a career that spans so many decades, such a body of work? Okay, she's a singer, so she doesn't own any rights. She's always sung for somebody else. But does that really mean that she has no take home? She gets nothing out of this investment. And we kept chasing that to the point that very quickly, word of mouth spread in her circle because of the success that we'd had doing something like that for her. And it was one after the other after the other. And slowly today, when we work with a lot of talent, right? Everyone asks me that, what is entertainment law? Aap log karte kya ho? Why do celebrities need it? First of all, it's not just celebrities. Today we see celebrities as entrepreneurs, right? I feel three things sell beautifully in this country. Entertainment, celebrity, cricket, religion. You attach these and something or the other is going to work. But with celebrities particularly, each one of them is their own business. Each one of them is their own entrepreneur. Now, take any talent. We're involved today in their life cycle. And for me, that celebrity can be the founder of a huge startup that's had that billion-dollar story, has made a unicorn, right? We've actually represented so many of them on the sale of their life rights, on their presence on television shows. All of that is IP, right? How do you protect the brand that the celebrity has become? Like with so many of them, we'll trademark, we'll protect their names, their autograph, nuances of their personality. Then you are living in a day and age where you have AI, you have deep fakes, you have so many other different ways in which their personality that is inherent to them can be used, misused. Every time it's used, is there a way to monetize it? What do I get out of it, right? Take an actor who's appearing in a film. Her performance in the film is IP, right? What happens outside of the film? If there is merch, it's being sold on, the video is available on YouTube, there's revenue on YouTube, the songs are being streamed on Spotify, there's revenue on Spotify, you have reels on Instagram, you have branded partnerships, you have content that you're creating. Then comes the entrepreneurial phase. You are starting to launch your own brands, or if you're the face of a brand, now you have this trend of celebrities also having equity, and we've seen some massive success stories around those, right? As the entrepreneur grows, the portfolio grows. So then we turn into also being able to advise them on, hey, what are you going to do with this wealth? How are we diversifying the portfolio? What is the investment? We have so many successful stories of actors, actresses who've made brilliant investments, right? There is someone behind the scenes working with them, keeping in mind that, hey, does this strategically align with this person, with their personality, with their brand, with their IP that has become synonymous with who they are? So I feel all of that is one part of IP and one part of what I would end up doing in somebody's life cycle, right? To protect, and I say this all the time to a lot of clients also, that you have to think of what is your career beyond the shelf life of you being in this space right now. Look, I feel we all have that peak, right? I feel today I've seen the sort of success that we have being this, almost first of its kind entertainment firm that's actually full service. We are across everything that's happening in the life cycle or in the career of whoever we're working with. Now, for me, whether that's a corporate that's entered India, right from, hey, how are you setting up? What are you doing? What is the lay of the land? What is the look and feel? What are cultural nuances, right? If a foreign streaming service comes to India, there's a lot of things here that are only practiced here. How do you make them aware of that without compromising the global brand that they are? So I feel there's a lot of nuances there that we end up focusing on. So you're part of different aspects of their life, and all of it is going back to protect the brand, the intellectual property. Another whole aspect, and people don't realize it, especially when you're running a business that is maybe not product related, but maybe more service related, is, okay, but there is nothing that is copyrightable. There is nothing that is capable of a patent. It doesn't qualify. There is no design. There's nothing unique about it. That's okay too. There are still ways to protect something. A simple example. To get intellectual property protection, the thumb rule is it has to be original, right? Or it has to be your own unique expression. But equally, we say ideas are not protectable. However, ideas sometimes are what make your business or what make you. Confidentiality will protect an idea, even where intellectual property law might not be able to protect it. And now, these are few hygiene things, right? Hey, was this disclosed to, was this business plan shared with someone in a state of confidence? Were these discussions, were these numbers, were these ideas engaged in a state of confidence? Do I have something that I can demonstrate to show that it was under confidentiality? You do have a case to protect it, even where you may not be able to justify or qualify for an IP registration, right? So I feel there's so many different nuances and so many different areas in today's day and age where a client needs assistance in saying, look, I've built something, I think it's great, how do I make this work for me? The other beauty of what we're doing is thanks to technology, there are so many different expressions of everything you build. Take, for example, comedy, right? With comedy, recently we actually for Veer did something where there was literally a controversy around, hey, your jokes are infringing. And we're like, how are jokes infringing? But even that has its own IP, right? With Veer, it's an interesting example because he has Weird Ass, which is his own company. For the company, we've raised a round through a VC. It's had its own journey. He's got his own parallel personality in terms of the Netflix shows that he does, all of the other IPs that he creates, his touring business, his live shows. Each one of these is monetizable just because there's originality there. There is something that he's doing that has become unique and synonymous to him. Then the same personality goes and creates a brand. He also has a beer brand that we've advised and worked on. There is so much that you're seeing around the personality. I'll give a whole different example. Divine. The rapper, I don't know how many of you follow him or listen to him, and we worked with Divine before and after Gully Boy, right? Before the film happened and before the music came out. And at the time, luckily, we were able to have the foresight and see that, listen, this is great, the kind of music that you have here. Why don't we take control over it? So to use that to get him to set up his own record label. Today, you have lots of artists who have artist-led record labels, right? But to be able to say that, listen, what you're creating here is capable of being monetized far beyond your career. Look, we all know today somebody is the flavor of the season, tomorrow there's somebody else. But that piece of IP is going to outlive most of us, right? Because the protection in IP is also so much broader. So to be able to set up the record label, Gully Gang Records, Gully Gang in turn has now signed other artists. It's got a management arm, it has a production arm, it has its own record label, it's doing live events, it's doing merchandise. So IP is at the core of it, but to be able to express it in so many different forms, monetize it, there are deals that are done on the back of it so that you're able to keep cash flowing the business, make the IP work for itself. And fortunately, we're living in a day and age where really all you have to do is create. It's so different than 10, 20 years ago where you needed to go to a person to cash flow, to finance, get somebody to help you make your film, get somebody to go to a record label so they could give you money to go make something. Today, thanks to technology, there are ample DIY solutions available. You have so many tools. All you really need to do is take that first step and create. And one last thing to sum this up, because I hear it a lot, especially from most entrepreneurs, businesses, or women that are in the creative space, that I don't have the money to go to a lawyer. I can't really afford it. I'm going to say two things here. One is, please think of it as hygiene, right? Just like you probably go to a nutritionist when you want to try and lose weight, you go work out in a gym, or you want to invest in a great bag because you feel it completes your look. You have to think of getting the right advice, whether it's from a lawyer, a financial advisor, anyone, right? You have to be willing to invest in yourself. And I'm going to put this in a whole different context. Again, a byproduct of me being an entertainment lawyer also means that I've worked through a lot of Me Too matters, seen a lot of cases, advised on different sides of the issue, sometimes for the victims, sometimes for the accused, sometimes even for the corporation or the organization that is having to deal with it and wants to take a call because, again, IP is at stake. How do we release this? How do we put it out there? Do we associate with this person? Do we take it down from everywhere? And the one thing that has always stood out to me in a lot of these experiences and a lot of these matters is that women somehow, irrespective of what is the rung that they enjoy in, or what's the hierarchy that they are at, whether junior most or at the top level, somehow just don't believe in paying for legal advice. The men are so quick to lawyer up, and I'm not holding this against them. Any logical person, right? You need surgery, you go and get advice from a surgeon, right? You are willing to invest. Of course, you're free to pick your grade of surgeon. You're not going to try and DIY it. You're not going to ask somebody to do it pro bono if your life depends on it. So I would say, please start thinking. You don't need a lawyer only when there's a crisis. Think of it as hygiene. Think of it as an investment in yourself to get the right advice. It need not be expensive. And coming to the expensive part, the second thing that I want to say is that there are enough and more ways of just taking simple steps to do it yourself. Communicate. We love to talk in circles that become our echo chamber, but that's not solving your problem. 9 out of 10 times when someone comes to me with the most popular one being, my invoice hasn't been paid, I've rendered everything, I've done everything, my services have been used, it's out there. My first question is, have you said something? Have you sent an email? Have you sent a WhatsApp to whoever gave you this job, who was your point of contact? The answer almost always is no. You've spoken to all your friends. You've done everything. You've probably gone and even written a social media rant about it for those of them who choose to go that way. But that's not getting you the relief that you need. The only thing that's going to get you relief is to create a chain of communication. Record it. We're all living in a day and age where it's at your fingertips. Send a simple email. You don't need a lawyer. It's not rocket science to simply word that, hey, this happened, this is done, this is pending. So I would say these two things, prevention is better than cure, and think of getting assistance, advice for anything that you're doing more as hygiene. And number two, if it's unaffordable, you can easily take measures in your own hands, but you have to do it promptly and in an time-efficient manner. So thank you. That's all I have to say.